So let's talk about the music business. We're going to unpack it by looking at the real unfiltered stories of artists who are standing at a crossroads. We're talking contracts, numbers, and the choices that can either build a career that lasts a lifetime or give it all away. Okay, let's get into it.
You know, if you're a musician, you know the dream. It's that late night phone call you've been working your whole life for. The one that says, hey, we see you, we believe in you. And yeah, it usually sounds a little something like this.
I mean, come on, that sentence, it feels like you just won the lottery. It's validation, it's the start of everything you've ever wanted. But for one R&B artist named Maya, this dream call was actually the beginning of a 7-year nightmare. She learned the really hard way that the dream can be a beautifully disguised trap. And here's where that dream just completely falls apart from the reality. See, Maya saw the 50 grand. What she didn't see was the math. That advance, it wasn't a gift. It was a loan she had to pay back, or recoup, from her tiny 15% slice of the pie, all while the label owned her recordings forever. So after 3 years and an incredible 15 million streams, you know what she earned after that first check? Zero. Not a dime. And she was still on the hook for 2 more albums. Look, Maya's story isn't some rare one-off thing. It really represents a fundamental choice that every single artist has to face. So to make this crystal clear, let's look at the real journeys of 2 friends. They started at the exact same time, but chose 2 very, very different paths for their careers. Okay, so fast forward 5 years, and the difference is, it's just mind-blowing. Alex, he's the one who took the label deal. He has way more streams, 50 million, but his earnings, he's actually in debt to the label and owns 0% of his own music. Meanwhile, Jordan, who went independent, has way fewer streams, but has brought in $132,000. And, this is the most important part, he owns everything. Same work ethic, just a totally different grasp of the business. So how does that even happen, right? How can more streams actually lead to less money? Well, to get that, we have to pull back the curtain and really look at the engine of the industry, the record deal itself. We're going to break down the clauses and the crazy financial structures that trip up so many artists. This right here, this might be the single most important mindset shift an artist can make. A label is not your partner. It's not your family. It is a financial institution. It's a bank. They give you a loan, that's the advance, and in return, you give them your most valuable asset, your music, as collateral. And believe me, that loan grows fast. You might think you're just paying back the 75 grand advance, but you're not. Oh no. You're paying for everything. The recording sessions, the music video, the marketing, the promo, it all just gets added to your tab. And just like that, a $75,000 advance becomes a $310,000 mountain of debt you have to climb. And here is the absolutely insane results of that mountain. To pay back that $310,000 debt at an 18% royalty rate, you, the artist, need to generate over $1.7 million in revenue. Just let that sink in for a second. The entire system is pretty much designed so that most artists will never, ever recoup. Now let's talk about the infamous 360 deal. Take Tyler's story. He had a massive year, generated $800,000 from music, touring, merch, the whole shebang. But because he signed a 360 partnership, the label got a cut of everything. The label's take was a jaw-dropping $673,000. So after paying back some of his advance, Tyler's actual paycheck for bringing in almost $1 million was just $54,000. Okay, this might be the single most terrifying clause I have ever read. It's called a work-for-hire clause. An artist named Sarah, who actually used to be a lawyer, almost missed this thing buried on page 47 of her contract. This doesn't just mean they own your recordings. It means that, legally speaking, they are the creator. You never owned them to begin with, and you can never, ever get them back. Okay, so we've seen all the traps. It's pretty grim. But what's the solution here? It's not about just avoiding deals altogether. It's about understanding what you're actually negotiating. And the single most powerful concept you need to get is ownership. It all comes down to the 2 fundamental assets you create every time you write a song. All right, so every single song has 2 separate, totally distinct copyrights. You've got the master, which is the actual audio file, the thing you press play on. Then you have the publishing. That's the song itself, the lyrics, the melody, the idea. You can own one, you can own both, or you can own neither. And your entire financial future really hinges on understanding this split. So let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Marcus and Keisha both got their songs placed in a big Netflix show. Huge win, right? But Marcus, who kept his publishing rights, made 150 grand. Keisha, who had signed her publishing away in a deal, she walked away with just 8,000 bucks. Same opportunity, but $142,000 difference, all because of who owned the song. And listen, this is not just about quick paydays. Publishing is about building a real legacy. Back in 1960, a songwriter named Rosa turned down what was then a massive buyout for her songs. She definitely struggled, but she held on to her rights. Today, that same catalog is generating 6 figures a year for her grandkids. That is the power of owning your work. It pays forever.
So, if ownership is the key, how do you actually build a career around it? Let's get into the playbook for the modern independent artist. We're going to see how some strategic thinking and, paying attention to the small details can lead to massive success without signing your life away. Check out Issa's story. It shows the incredible power of patience. She turned down those early label offers and just invested in herself, building her audience and her earnings slowly. Then, in year 4, boom, a song goes viral on TikTok. And because she owned 100% of it, she earned over $500,000 from that one track. So by the time the labels came back with a $2 million offer, she didn't need them anymore.
And look, it's not always about these big, dramatic decisions. It's often the tiny, boring details that cost you a fortune. A single typo in the songwriter metadata, that cost one artist $47,000 in royalties that just vanished. 2 friends lost a $50,000 deal because they never wrote down who owned what percentage of their song on a split sheet. But on the flip side, an artist spent $5 grand on a lawyer who found things that added over $400,000 in value to their deal. The small stuff is the big stuff. Okay, so we've seen the traps, we've seen the playbook, and in the end, it all comes down to this. There isn't one single right path for every artist out there, but there is a right way to make the decision. And that's with information, with knowledge, and with a really clear understanding of what it is you're trying to build.
So let's just boil it all down. What's the bottom line? First, remember your music is a valuable asset. Treat it that way. Ownership is the key to building real long-term wealth. Advances are loans, not free money. And never, ever forget that publishing pays forever. Oh, and everything is negotiable. And sometimes the best deal you can make is no deal at all.
And that really brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question. 10 years from now, who do you want making money from your music? Do you want it to be you? Or do you want to be watching somebody else cash checks from your life's work? Your answer to that question determines every single decision you need to make, starting right now.